We've got a lot of Deshaun Watson news to unpack, but first, if you are looking for a reason to subscribe to the channel, I've got 5 of them for you. Not only do we have daily free Browns content, but we also break down the latest news, rumors, whatever entails the Cleveland Browns. Also, live shows every Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern, an opportunity for you guys to interact with me and be a part of the show just as much as I am. And nice of all, we are 690 subs away from 11,000. So let's reach that before week 1. Just when you thought we were out of the woods for all the Deshaun Watson saga stuff, we're not quite there yet. Matthew Peterson from Chat Sports here at the Cleveland Browns Report, breaking down whether or not the NFL is going to appeal the 6-game suspension handed down by Judge Sue L. Robinson. Now, we've got a lot to unpack, but I think the first thing or the first place we should start is what the NFL statement was right after the suspension announcement, saying, "We appreciate Judge Robinson's diligence and professionalism throughout this process. Pursuant to the collective bargaining agreement, the NFL or the NFLPA, on behalf of Watson, may appeal the decision within 3 days. In light of her findings, the NFL is reviewing Judge Robinson's imposition of a 6-game suspension and will make a determination on next steps." So, the NFL going to appeal. I wonder this. Does the NFL really want this to drag out longer? Because if they appeal, the NFLPA could clap back and bring this to court. That's not really good for business for the NFL. They want this done and over with, all right? I don't see them wanting to prolong this anymore. Now, we've got some more notes on this to look at. The NFL, like I said, or like they said, they've got 3 days, which is Thursday, 9 o'clock in the morning Eastern time, to appeal the 6-game suspension. Now, Aaron Wilson over at Pro Football Network had a nice write-up, well, an interesting one, with sources and legal experts in it, predicting the NFL will appeal this suspension. So we're going to look at some of those quotes in just a moment. But it is worth noting again, the NFLPA, like Ezekiel Elliott when he got suspended back in 2017 for 6 games, could drag this into court. Now, I'm not saying that's successful, but I don't think either party wants to do this. But I'm looking at what Pro Football Network put in their article, where they said, we've got a source and a legal expert saying, yeah, the suspension is going to be appealed. Here's what their source said. "I don't think they will be able to stand up to the public outcry. I could see Watson getting hit with a much longer suspension." That's the expert opinion? That the NFL is going to be like, they're really mad online. We should do something about that. What? Is their expert just someone on Twitter with still a blue egg as their avatar? Are you kidding me? This is not expert analysis. Now, I do think it's probably worth noting that if the NFL was going to appeal, one, let's actually back up even further for a second. I would envision that the NFL had a plan in place of if it's 6 games, if it's 4 games, if it's 8 games, this is the flow chart of what we want to do. Now, I'm guessing what they're doing is they're waiting around to see people pissed off, or they're like, all right, 6 games, moving on. You know what I mean? Or is it, no, they're really ticked off now, we should appeal, right? Are they milking the 3 days to gauge the public on this? Now, if you are ready for all this to be over, like I am, so we can start talking about real football and start talking about how this defense is going to tear Baker or Sam Darnold apart week 1, even if it is Brissett. I mean, well, not even if. Brissett starting week 1. Type Go Browns down in the comments section below, because I think we can all agree at the end of the day, we're looking forward to Cleveland Browns football returning to the gridiron. Let's look at this a little closer. Why would Goodell appeal, right? Sure, there's a public outcry, as that expert put it, but why would Roger want to make this case go on longer, right? Why would he want to stir it up in the news cycle even more? So in that Pro Football Network write-up, they interviewed a lawyer who's defended multiple players before, and he's well tapped into the league, named Daniel Moskowitz. Here's what he said. It's very simple. He's now former NFL Commissioner Paul Tagliabue. I think I got that wrong. Tagliabue, whatever it is. Goodell is nearing the end of his tenure. He will want to be remembered for doing the right thing here. A 6-game suspension is not conducive to what Roger Goodell is going to want. Based on history and who he is a man of actual principle. This punishment can hurt the this punishment can hurt the NFL, and that hurts Goodell. They can lose sponsors. Daniel, has any sponsor backed out? I haven't seen a single sponsor back out. So if the sponsors were really pissed off, wouldn't the first thing they would do is back out to send a message to Goodell? You should appeal this. We are upset. That seems pretty logical to me. Now, as for him being a man of principle, I didn't see that when Ray Rice got a 2-game suspension. So, all right, Dan. I mean, easy on that front here. Also, I think it's worth noting when the NFL dumped that whole Tom Brady Miami Dolphins suspension news, timed up pretty nicely. The day after the Deshaun Watson news dump, why do you think that was? They want to put the Deshaun Watson stuff behind them. Right? They want to sweep it under the rug and move on. Whether or not they think 6 games was an appropriate number, that's a separate argument. But I think the NFL wants what's best for business right now, which is to put that behind and move on and not be at the front of the news page and on the headlines here. Now, Judge Robinson's report was very important for a potential appeal because what her fact findings are what is able to be appealed by the NFL. Meaning, if Judge Robinson in her report and in her findings said this is factual or this is not factual, that's going to impact what the NFL can appeal. Meaning, if Robinson said, hey, Deshaun Watson is not guilty of sexual assault per the personal conduct policy, the NFL can't just appeal it and go, yeah, we know she said that, we don't care, or we actually think he is guilty. No, they have to go off of what her findings were, which in this case does open up an avenue for an appeal. We got more to look at and my take on this in just a second. But if you have not followed us over on Rumble, I don't know what you're doing because there are a lot of benefits to be had when you check us out. Not only are you going to get free and daily videos on Rumble and YouTube, but you can do play in picture, which means you can have the audio going in the background while you're on Twitter, while you're texting, whatever you want to do on your phone over at Rumble, 100% free. Now, there are polos to be had on both shows here, so if you're looking for whatever polo I'm going to whip out of the closet each day, we've got you covered. But Rumble's got YouTube beat when it comes to uncensored content, meaning, we can say whatever the hell we want over on Rumble. Shout out to Tim Robinson. Good show right there. But check us out, Rumble, when you go to rumble.com/Browns Report. Let's dive deeper at Judge Robinson's findings, okay? She said there's conduct that qualifies as sexual assault. So these findings sort of become fact, meaning if the NFL wants to appeal this, they can reference her findings and go, yep, she said that. Now, if she said the opposite, the NFL couldn't just twist it around and go, hey, we actually disagree. He did violate the personal conduct policy. All right, more notes. She found, conduct that poses a genuine danger to the safety and well-being of another person, along with conduct that puts the integrity of the league at risk. She had a long 16-page write-up, but here is a little excerpt from it. The NFL demonstrated that Mr. Watson engaged in sexualized conduct during the massage sessions. I find this evidence sufficient to demonstrate that Mr. Watson's conduct undermined the integrity of the NFL in the eyes of the therapist. It is apparent that Mr. Watson acted with a reckless disregard for the consequences of his actions by exposing himself and the NFL to such a public scrutiny and speculation. All right, that is a lot of mumbo-jumbo legal terms right there, but it is important to kind of get the key takeaways from that and from this 16-page write-up, because what it does allow is for the NFL to appeal to Roger Goodell and reference the facts and the findings that Sue Robinson made. And I think that is something that has to be noted, right? That has to be included in whether or not you believe Robinson or the NFL is going to appeal. They definitely got an easier path to do that based on this. So basically, in English, the NFL proved Watson violated the personal conduct policy. But the NFL can't just spring on new, harsher punishments without a precedent. Because wherever you stand on Deshaun Watson, this 6-game suspension is the highest for any sort of for any sort of allegation that did not include assault in the eyes of the law. I know that's a little weird to kind of put together in your head, but people are talking about, well, Calvin Ridley and Josh Gordon, they were found guilty and they were proven guilty of gambling or violating, personal conduct policy on drug abuse and whatnot. Watson is still in the camp of allegations, which is a key difference here. So, my takeaways from this, the NFL really going to bypass the first use of an independent third-party arbitrator that the owners, by the way, who pay Goodell's salary, heavily push for. I don't think so, right? The first time you have a judge and an arbitrator in this type of situation, you're just going to blow past her findings and blow past her judgment and her decision and revert back to the old ways where Goodell is the judge, the jury, and the executioner? No. That's why they implemented this policy. That's why they brought on Judge Robinson, to get rid of that for situations like that. This is not moving forward if they just appeal and go back to Goodell. Owners aren't going to like that here. So I am predicting there will not be an appeal. The NFL might not like that it is a 6-game suspension. And that might be the reason why they aired out that they want a full year suspension, so they can say, sorry everyone, we pushed for an indefinite suspension, we didn't get it, and we're going to respect the judge's ruling. Before we get on out of here, I want to give some quick shout-outs here to all of you guys watching. So, we had some super thanks come in on the show to my guys Davis and Taylor and Ray Bidding. Really appreciate the support you show us here at the channel. Does not go unnoticed. MVPs of the Cleveland Browns Report. Also, I posted on our community tab the other day, just yesterday, after it was a 10-year anniversary for the Jimmy and D Haslam era, looking for one-word reactions. Here are some very, very good ones. All right, Daniel saying turbulent. John Beach, incompetent. Melania, bipolar. Kid Lightning, malarkey. Sean, assault. More harsher ones. Dustin saying underrated. Hata saying fantastic. Chaos Agent saying intriguing. Christopher saying great. And Buckeye fan saying loaded. I mean, at least they're spending more money now than they did before here. My favorite comment, though, my favorite one-word reaction, comes from Bill Graper. What a word here. More competent than the previous owner. Sorry, Al, but yeah, I would say that's pretty spot on right there. So we'll take it. I still think it's good. I am definitely, if we look at that 10 one words, more on the left side of not as good as great, but at least it's improvement, I guess. All right, if you made it to the end of the video, type Dawg Pound down in the comments section. That way, the real ones can stand out and we can know who the MVPs of the show are, because you are watching all the way until the end screen. So spam Dawg Pound for being a part of this Dawg Pound right here.